Hey guys, I'm Anthony and welcome to my Life Off Wheels. As you guys know, I am in full production for my next batch of candles. Over the weekend, I finished all but 4 of my candles. So I'm very pleased at the progress that I made. So I saved the last 4 so that I can make this video and take you guys along my candle making process. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is show you guys everything that I use from start to finish. Alright. The first thing, I'm currently using my 12-ounce jars with the black lids. I already have my warning labels on my lids. That's part of the preparation that I do before I actually start making my candles. The next thing are my hemp wicks and my glue stickers. Then I use clothes pegs instead of the traditional metal wick holders. Now the reason why I use these clothes pegs is because it gives me more versatility to center up the wick. Now the metal ones that most people use, they are designed to sit center on your jar, but that is based on whether you actually place your wick and your glue dot directly in the center of your jar each and every time, and sometimes I'm a little off. And this allows me to shift and better center it up on those occasions that I don't exactly place my wick center of the jar. Then I use some scissors, a wooden spoon for stirring or paddle, whatever you want to call it. Then I have a thermometer. I have a small cup here that is equivalent to 1 ounce of fragrance oil. I use this when I buy a bigger bottle of the fragrance oil so that I can measure out 1 ounce of it. Next up, I also use a little placement mat here. I use this so when I take my pouring pot out of the hot water, I can sit it on top of this instead of sitting it directly on my countertop. And then we have some wax in a pouring pot. Now, I use not 4, what am I talking about? I use 9.5 cups of wax to make 4 candles. And I know that sounds like a lot, and I still think it sounds like a lot. But yes, 9.5 cups makes me 4 12-ounce jars of candles. Then I have my boiling pot. I usually fill this up about a quarter, not a lot, because once you place your wax in the pouring pot inside, the water will rise anyway. So not a lot of water is needed. Alright, last but not least is whatever fragrance oil you choose. Today I'm making 4 more of the oak, moss, and amber, and that will complete all of the candles that I set out to make over the weekend. Alright, with that, let's get started, okay? I'm going to shift you guys a little bit this way. Turn my heat on. Now I like to put my heat on a medium high because you want your wax to gradually melt. That's the whole purpose of having a double boiler situation here. You don't want your wax to scorch and melt really quickly. You want it to melt very slowly and come up to the temperature. Now the temperature that I go for each and every time is 185 degrees. Most places and websites, candle sites that I looked at while researching, while I was getting into this candle thing, suggested 185. It has been good to me so far. Alright, so while my wax is starting to melt down, I'm going to prep these glasses with, why did I call them glasses? Prep these jars with the wicks. I like to straighten it out a little bit. Now, the center point here for these jars, thankfully, has a little circle engraved words on them. And that's the point that I aim for each and every time I put a wick in. Then I press them down and I straighten it out a little bit. My hands are a little slippery from making some, from making the other four. So once again, I like to straighten. These wicks are really stern, so I mean they're not stern enough where they're going to stand straight up on their own, but they do stand straight enough where you can do what I'm doing now. Once again, press it down. So this is really a process, especially because I only make 4 candles at a time. So I'm never going to be that like big production type of candle company. I'm always going to be a little small one that hopefully I will get enough loyal customers that will come back and keep buying them every month. And last one. Press that down. I'm going to lower this down just a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see and I don't chop my head off. But then I go ahead and cut it to make them more manageable once I use the clothespin. Alright, so this is what they look like. All done. I'm going to go ahead and stick these in the microwave now. And I'll talk a little bit about why I'm putting these in the microwave in a little bit. Alright, let me raise you guys back up a little bit. Alright guys, so now my wax is going, it's starting to melt. Here's a look at some of the candles that I made over the weekend in their different stages. Alright guys, my wax is almost melted completely. I usually wait until every bit of the wax has melted before I start taking a temperature reading. Let me bring you guys a little bit of this. Alright, every bit of the wax has melted, and now I start taking a temperature reading. Once again, I want to get up to 185 degrees. It usually don't take that long because the wax is already hot. I just have to keep my thermometer at the base of the pouring pot so that it can get an accurate reading. I usually pull this out about 2 or 3 times to take a reading, and it's pretty much close to where I want to be. Now, and all that rattling that you hear with this pot, that's not the actual water really boiling in it. That's this little stove is not that stable. Man, this stove. But it's very functional and it works well. So let me stop dogging my little antique stove. Okay. That's the first try. Very good. I'm going to try to show y'all this thermometer reading, but it's already at 185. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it or not. I'm going to take this over and put that on my mat right here. I just made a boo-boo, and I hope it does not affect my candles. The first 4 candles that I made are sitting right here, and when I was showing you guys the temperature reading, some of the water dripped down into one of the jars. So I hope it doesn't affect my outcome of those. But anyway, I'm going to let this cool down. I usually let my wax cool down to 150 degrees. But while that's doing that, I want to talk to you guys about 2 things. The first thing is called a flash point. The flash point is a very important number. Each bottle of fragrance oil have a flash point. This oak moss and amber flash point is 208 degrees. I hope you can see that down. Now what the flash point number represent is the highest temperature at which you can add this fragrance oil to some hot wax. So I heat my wax up to 185 degrees. So technically speaking, because this oak moss and amber flash point is 208, I can go here right now and put that into my wax and it wouldn't hurt the oil. Now if you put this oil in a hotter than what the flash point number is, you stand a chance of losing your scent because it's too hot and the scent will start to dissipate. So the flash point is a very important number. You don't want to put your oil in a higher flash point than listed on the bottle. Okay, so technically I can go ahead and put that in here now, but I'm going to let this start to cool down a little bit so that I can go to my jars. Now, I heat my jars up for 45 seconds. The reason why I do that is because it helps to burst any air bubbles while you're pouring your wax into your jars. Sometimes air bubbles will start to circulate around the edges of the jar, while if your jar is heated up, when those air bubbles start to form, the heat from the jars will burst those air bubbles. And air bubbles are a no-no because air bubbles can give you sink holes in the top of your jars, your wax, when they harden up, and you do not want that because they do not look good at all and they're really not sellable. So it's important to heat your jars up. Like I said, I do mine for about 45 seconds. They're not hot enough that I can't touch them, but they are a pretty good heat up. And so that helps to get rid of all the air bubbles once I start pouring my wax into my jars. Alright, we're going to let this go ahead and cool down a little bit and then I'll continue. Okay, it's been about 3 or 4 minutes now. I'm going to take a reading and see where my cool down temperature is. Again, I want to get down to around 150. Hold this here for a couple of seconds. Then take it out and look at the reading. You want to make sure you have it in here for, long enough so that it can take an accurate reading. You may have to do it twice. Okay, right now it's reading 155. That's a little too high. So I'm going to wait another minute or so. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and add my oil to it. Because like I said, I could have added this particular oil in right after I took it off the stove. I'm going to measure a full cup. There we go. I'm going to put that in. This is one of my favorite times of the whole process because when I put this oil in here, it smells so good. Right now, oh man, I can smell that oak moss and amber so good, and it smells so good. Oh man, woo, boy, that is saying something. And I can't help but think that the candle is going to come out excellent just based on the smell of the oil when it hits the wax. So I'm going to stir this up. Now, let's talk about the importance of stirring. Stirring is a very important process, point in the process, because this helps to bind the fragrance oil and the wax together. It's very important that you stir. And while I'm speaking on stirring and binding the oil with the wax, there is a thing called a cure. Once you finish your candles completely, there is a cure time. And the cure time is the time that you allow your wax and your oil to bind. Now, the best analogy that I saw online and I thought, wow, that's perfect, is spaghetti. We all know that our spaghetti tastes better the second or third day that we make it, because it had time for the sauce and everything else that you put in your spaghetti to bind together. That's the same concept with the candles. The longer you let your candles sit after you finish them, the stronger the scent is going to be. Now, I usually do a 2-week cure time. So all the candles that I made today, they'll be ready to sell in 2 weeks. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my microwave on for 45 seconds while I continue to stir. Am I saying that right? Because sometimes I say stir, sometimes I say steer. Lord have mercy. I tell you. Oh my God, my vocabulary, along with this missing tooth, sometimes can be challenging. I so wish that you guys can smell this. It smells so good. Wow. I'm going to try to angle this camera down so that you guys can see me pouring. Hopefully I'll get it. Alright, let's get this going. Alright, let me get this out of here. And I'm going to place these jars. Here I go again with the word glasses. That must be a sign that I need to keep my glasses on, because I keep on saying glasses instead of jars. Alright. Got them all lined up there. Let me move this over here. And I'm going to try and shift you guys over and drop you down some. So hopefully you can see. And hold up. I feel like this is in my way. I want to scorch my arm up. But hopefully you guys can see me pouring this. I like to hold the stem, the wick. And the last one. Now after I pour them, I like to get down on them and look and see if they're at the same height. This one needs a little more. And so does this one. A little more with that one. Alright, now let's put my clothes pegs on them. Clothes pins, clothes pegs. And see what I mean? I can adjust this to make sure that it's in the center. That one looked like it dropped down pretty good. look good as well. And the last one. And I always take another look to make sure they are where I want them to be. I also at this point check to make sure that there are no air bubbles in here. And I don't see any. And they're looking pretty good. Alright guys, that's it for the whole process. I'll show you some full ones, but I'm done, and it's best to have a little bit left over than not to have enough, and that last jar that you go to fill up is that short. What you gonna do with that? You can't sell that. But anyway, let's go take a look at my closet here, where I have the rest of my candles that I made. And here we go. I made all of these over the weekend. I don't have labels for those yet. I have to order labels, but they'll be here in plenty of time before I start to sell them in 2 weeks. But this is what I did over the weekend. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And as always, thank you guys for taking a few minutes out of your day to watch my videos. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys the next time.